Well, this week has really flown by as our trip here in Israel comes to a conclusion. Tomorrow morning we fly back to the States.
Yeah, and it's going to be another all day, over 24 hours, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and you can tell, well, I feel like we look tired. We are exhausted.
Whatever time this is, our bodies tell us it's 7 hours earlier.
Right.
So nights been off, days have been off. But oh my goodness, I wouldn't trade this experience for anything.
No. And just a little added thing, we want to thank my mom
Most definitely.
for sending all of us. She sent us and my sister, her husband, and my brother and his wife.
Yes.
So we want to thank her
Very, very
for
much.
giving us a trip of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
But if you haven't been to Israel, you need to come.
Yes.
It'll change your whole life,
Mm-hmm.
no matter your beliefs in God. Hopefully it'll strengthen your belief in God. But there is just so much to see. Just the history of Israel, the country itself.
Yes.
And the things that they found, like about 1,000 years later, that when they went to build buildings, they would excavate and find a whole city that they could take back.
We walked in those.
And we walked
on
through
this
it.
trail.
So
Well, and it's interesting because it really helps, I think, for us with our faith and the things that we have always spoken of and attempted to live out. It really puts a real face on it.
puts the wheels to the wagon.
Yes, and it does so not in our Western culture, but it does it in a sense that I think it was really written to communicate.
Yeah, and I think one thing that it showed me, we in the United States sometimes feels like I think we feel like we are it, and we're nowhere near it. It's an incredible world. We saw so many people from so many different countries, just constantly. Our guide would say, because he was born in Ohio. He is Jewish, and he moved back when he was 18, and he's been here ever since, even though he has gone home to visit his family. But he would stop people and say, "Hi, where are you from?" You know, they'd be from Brazil or China,
all over the world.
all over the world. And he said, that's what we do. We want to know where they're coming from, and we want to welcome them to our country.
And I think he also drove home the point for me with that we're all on a pilgrimage.
Right.
And we're sojourners.
Everybody's
and so
on a pilgrimage.
Part of a pilgrimage is to greet one another, and the conversation starts when we begin to learn about the other person.
Right.
And their track. And so we pass Germans and people from Poland and England and just all over the globe.
Ireland, the guy that we had today.
And we just found that people are on their pilgrimage too, that we pass every single day. And the other thing I think we miss in our culture, our everyday culture, is we're busy people rather than being relational people.
And just stopping and like, who am I? You know, where's my family from? And that's what the Jewish does, what the Jews do. They know their heritage, and they know where they came from and all that they have been through just to get to this place in 2020. And tomorrow, which will already be passed by the time you see this video, there's going to be heads of state from all over the world. Our vice president's going to be there, and it's in memory of the Holocaust. And Prince Charles is coming, and from just all over the world.
Kings and rulers.
Yeah, kings and rulers. And so we will obviously miss that. We'll be on a plane, hopefully on a plane before they're all landing. Otherwise, they're going to shut the airport down.
Yes.
For them to come in. So it's a fast-paced, moving place, and so many different types of people. So.
The age of the city struck me. The congestion of the city struck me. The draw of people's here struck me. And just what you see all around every corner. You see just history. You see significance.
Oh, that will blow you away.
Yes.
And the beauty.
Mm.
We first landed, we thought we were in Arizona. We lived in Arizona, and it looks just like that. And we went out, when we went to Masada, a lady commented, "This looks just like the Utah mountains." We've not been to Utah, and I'm just looking around, and we saw the Dead Sea, the Mediterranean Sea,
yeah.
Sea of Galilee, beautiful water. Just absolutely water. And then it rained the last 3 days constantly, and they said this is historic. It has never rained like this. Usually it's like Southern California, the temperatures are. And he said, "You brought the rain, and we thank you," because he said the Dead Sea is drying up, and we did see places where it was, and he said this rain is going to come out of the mountains and fill up the Dead Sea.
The Sea of Galilee is low and is now coming back to a significant amount of water.
They were so excited.
Oh,
we even
yes.
saw some snow. They thought if it snowed, they were going to shut the roads down today because they shut it down. They're not used to any ice, so they're getting plenty of rain, and it's still raining. And we'd have periods of sunshine to be able to walk around the old city, and then all of a sudden downpours, and saw a rainbow, and then all of a sudden boom, downpours. So pretty fun. So.
But it was interesting because on the journey, of course, because of our Christian faith, we were here seeing the walk of Jesus, the birthplace of Jesus, where the shepherds were, all the way through his crucifixion, his burial, and just the whole story of our Christian faith told to us through as Dina already said, through a Jewish man who was able to bring perspective on so many levels. What a dear man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So knowledgeable.
Right.
And of course, as you drive around Israel, you're also struck with, we're still in a violent world. We saw the walls that separate. We saw...
Well, back in the 90s when we went to Palestine, and we ate lunch
in
there.
Bethlehem.
And we saw where they bombed, and some of you, if you're old as we are, you remember those days in the 90s and how safe it is. And he kept saying about the walls that they put up and how it was very helpful. But now that the economy is so good that there's none of that there.
That is really taking a lot of
And it's so
the...
safe. We didn't see anything that was unsafe at all.
And yet you'd go to Old Jerusalem and you could still see the marks of bullets that had hit the walls.
Right,
over
when the Jordanian
years.
war. I'm not sure when Jordan was, and that was how many years ago?
That wasn't that long ago,
Yeah,
67 war.
So what are those holes? I will get to that.
And you go into some of the fields in the northern part where the Syrians had buried
there's landmines everywhere.
And the landmines that they had buried all over the fields, that it just really wasn't safe. And they have what they call a Galilean cowboy. And they said he is really kind of a wild kind of a person because they take the cattle through those very fields. And they've learned how to work that terrain. But you still have areas with signs about landmines. You still see the bunkers where tanks would pull in a defensive mode. You see the fences. You see just the struggle and the brokenness all around you. And it's really striking to see and experience that, but would not take anything for this trip. I know when we were preparing to come, there was that concern about the danger, but here I haven't felt or experienced that at all.
Nothing.
And
they aren't, I mean, they live here, and they just said, no, it's not there.
Yes, and we just sense that there is a working agreement between the different groups of people
From
that
the
are
Middle East.
not always perfect, but it is able to go by on a day-to-day basis. And as you may know, there's 4 quadrants to the city of Jerusalem. There's the Armenian section, the Christian section, the Jewish section, and the Muslim section. And they have their ways of, as we went through each one of them.
Yeah, and they all work together.
Yes.
They're just trying to make a living.
Yes.
And all their wares were out, and lots of leather. If you like leather purses.
And beads and
lots
rings.
of jewelry, and just beautiful. We didn't have time to really go through all that, but it was just beautiful. And going through the old city was amazing.
And then we saw children.
Oh.
The joy of children.
Yeah.
The innocence of children. with their families,
Yeah.
or we saw some school
Little kids walking.
in the school.
About what, 6 or 7 years
Oh,
old?
that
Like
one
probably kindergarten, first grade
a
maybe.
whole group of kids on
Yeah.
a school trip.
Yeah, they were on a field
and,
trip.
and taking their time,
That was
and to
fun.
hear their laughter and their joy. Sometimes you had to be careful because they'd run right underneath of you.
Yeah.
But
That's fun.
it's a real place
Mhm.
that has real story and real history, from which I don't think either of us will be the same.
No.
Because of what we experienced here this week.
So we hope you enjoy this video, have enjoyed it, and can catch a glimpse of just another world. That's why we even got on YouTube to start with when we first started watching, to see places we might never ever go to. So hopefully you can come if that's what your heart's desire is, but if you can't, maybe you can see a glimpse of it. And there's other YouTube videos of Israel on there too. So
Absolutely, because again, this is the best of us, the Floros, as we journey together and journey with you. If you haven't subscribed, we hope you'll take time to do so.
and hit that little bell so you know when we put out another video.
And like this video if this has been helpful.
And leave
for
us
you.
comments. Just
Yes.
tell us if you've been and where you've gone. And we did have a winner, and we have got something we are going to be sending him in the mail when we get home.
Mhm.
And we've already communicated with him, so he guessed where we were going on
Yes.
our last video. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Shalom.